Awareness Week. Apparently this is purely fortuitous on our part to discuss Hikikomori. And our chair this evening is Amelia Martin Hemphill, and I will just introduce her and then leave her to do all of the work. So Amelia works for the BBC as a presenter, filmmaker and radio broadcaster, and she was one of the founding members of the BBC's Solutions Journalism team, and she's reporting for BBC World News, BBC World Service and Radio 4. She's particularly relevant to this discussion this evening about Hikikomori because she produced a short documentary called Rent a Sister about Hikikomori, which has been very widely watched, and I think that the word was probably already in the English dictionary, but it's certainly much more widely known as a result of Amelia's work. So I'll pass straight over to you.
Great, well thanks so much for having me, and we've got a wonderful panel of speakers here this evening, so I won't keep you long because I will introduce them. But the problem of Hikikomori is one that is becoming more and more widespread, more and more well known, as I found out when I went to Japan to make this documentary for the BBC. And Hikikomori is something that's very difficult for us to cover in the press in a nuanced way because by definition it's a condition where people want to withdraw from society, cut themselves off from any kind of contact with people. So we try to look at it through a solutions-based lens, looking at people who are trying to solve the problem and maybe do something about it, because this is something that affects roughly about, it's estimated around 1 million people in Japan and is increasing around the globe as well. And the numbers are very hard to gauge, as we'll hear, because this is something that isn't very well documented and doesn't have a specific medical course of treatment. So without further ado, I will hand over to the speakers who are going to tell us a little bit more. First of all, we've got Atsushi Watanabe. He's a contemporary artist who's suffered from the Hikikomori condition himself, and he's going to share his experiences and his recovery story, and there's a very interesting exhibition by him downstairs that you can see as well. And he's going to explain how he's using his art to raise awareness of this social issue. Then we're going to move on to Dr. Tadaaki Furuhashi, sorry, get that right, who's from Nagoya University, and he's going to analyse the various factors leading to the Hikikomori condition in Japan and compare how the condition's been observed and addressed in other countries as well. And finally, we're going to move on to Professor Hamish McLeod of the University of Glasgow, and he's going to talk about similar issues such as loneliness and social isolation, and more from the perspective of the UK, and examine some of the interventions that the government is taking. So thank you very much.
I speak in Japanese this time. はじめまして、私は渡辺敦と言います。過去に3年間の引きこもりの経験を持ち、そこから復帰し、現在は現代美術家として活動しています。1978年、日本の神奈川県横浜市生まれ。横浜は東京に次ぐ大きな都市で、歴史上日本で最初に開かれた港がある町です。私は幼少期から、絵画や工作が得意で、東京芸術大学の、油絵専攻で学びました。日本の美術大学は入学試験が厳しく、高い倍率があり、私は多くの、同級生と同じく4年間も浪人をしました。大学在学中にはアーティストとして生きていくことのプレッシャーや人間関係などに深く悩み、結果的にうつ病にもなりました。うつは20代前半から、10年間続き、今から7年前に、完治しました。またその途中には居場所の喪失ともいえるような人間関係の別離や排除などを同時に複数経験し、その、頃から実家の自室に足掛け3年間引きこもってしまいました。 私にとっての引きこもりは当初は消去法的に居場所が自分の部屋だけになっていき、そこからだんだんと自暴自棄になって社会との断絶が深まっていきました。ひどい時には7ヶ月半ほど寝たきりで全く外に出ない生活を送りました。 This is me、自分の力だけではその生活からもう抜け出る力はなくなっていたのだと思います。うちの父には発達障害の疑いがあり、コミュニケーション能力が乏しく、他者を逆なでする気質があります。母については同居している私の異変にも気づきながら全く介入してこないことに私は強い怒りが湧き、その怒りが引きこもりを長引かせる原因にもつながっていきました。日本は履歴書に少しの空白期間でもあれば就職に採用されづらくなる不寛容で厳しい社会なのです。母は夫との生活での疲弊や引きこもりの息子を持つ対応に困惑をしていました。必要な援助をしてくれなかった母ですが、それは何もしなかったのではなく、何もできないほどに弱っていたのだとある時に気がつき、そのことで私自身の傷に対する執着は弱まり、状況を俯瞰的に認識するきっかけを得て引きこもりは終わりました。母の痛みに寄り添い再度自分の人生を進めていくことを選んだのです。2013年に現代美術家として復帰後、現在に至るまで当事者経験を生かした社会問題をテーマとする作品を継続的に発表してきました。2014年以降は主に引きこもりや心に傷を持つ人々と共同するアートプロジェクトなど、社会包摂にも触れるテーマに取り組み、アートの価値の更新や社会に直接的な作用をもたらす表現についても模索しています。ここから作品をいくつか見ていきましょう。2014年に行った「止まった部屋動き出した家」という私の個展での同名タイトルのパフォーマンスです。2011年2月11日に私は引きこもりを終えました。偶然にもこの日は東日本大震災が起きたちょうど1ヶ月前です。横浜の我が家から 300km 離れた福島県沿岸部などの被災地では、津波とともに流されて死んでしまった引きこもりと、また反面自分よりも弱く傷ついた者の存在を目にし手を差し伸べ、そうした他者への援助行為をきっかけに社会復帰し、福祉の職に就いた引きこもりも多いそうです。自分の痛みに固執していた者も何かのきっかけで他者の傷の存在に触れたとき、自分の痛みにまつわる執着心が和らぎ、自分が持ち備えた体力や知力など残された財産性を提供する価値に気づくこともあるのでしょう。では、もしも私自身が引きこもりだった頃、津波が襲ってくるエリアに住んで、そこで震災を経験していたら、自分の場合は部屋から出て生き延びて、再起できたのだろうか、それとも家屋とともに流されてしまったのだろうかという問いをきっかけに行った展覧会です。展覧会場では津波で流されゆく傾いた家の形を畳1畳サイズ 1800mm×800mm のコンクリート製の造形物で表し、展覧会期内の1週間、私はその造形物の内部に生き埋めになって過ごすというパフォーマンスを行いました。厚さ5センチのコンクリートの壁で閉ざされた内部はまさに孤立した空間です。私が引きこもりを終えた時期とわずかにずれて起きた大津波の状況下でのストーリーと重ね合わせながら、自身の過去を演劇的に再現したのです。この造形物の中で飲食、排泄、睡眠など生活のすべてを7日間行いました。実際に行ってみると予想以上に辛く、また身体的に自閉された状況では 引きこもり当時と似たメンタリティに陥り、3日目あたりから精神的に不安定にもなりました。パフォーマンス最終日の7日目に向けて持ち直し、最後は自力で脱出をしました。自身の苦しさやとらわれ、そこからまた気づきを経て脱出をしていく様は、過去実際に引きこもっていた時間軸を追体験していくこととなりました。このパフォーマンスは多少形式や意味を変え、それを2017年と2019年にも行いました。直方体のコンクリート製造形物の中に7日間自身の体を密閉しました。床面のサイズは畳と同じ大きさです。生き埋めのままこもり続けた後、金槌とタガネを使って自力で脱出をしました。この時のパフォーマンスでは、仏教の山岳修行における義死再生、一度死んで生まれ変わることや、仏教由来とする内観にも、内観という修行法にも通じるとらわれ、執着からの再生を自身の引きこもり経験に踏まえた形で、表現しました。部屋の中にこもり続ける引きこもりは社会的に非生産的なものと見られていますが、仏教修行のいくつかに7日間寺院や山に自分の体を閉じ込めて他者との交流を断つものがあります。自身と向き合い、認識を更新させていくためです。引きこもりをしていた時の私にとって多くの時間はネガティブな感情で覆われる時間でもありましたが、引きこもりを終えていく経緯では自分自身と向き合い、認識が更新されていく感覚もありました。引きこもることは必ずしも非生産的と生きれるわけではなく、生きていくために必要な自問自答の時間であるのかもしれません。このパフォーマンスは引きこもることと仏教修行の類似点を示し、社会が引きこもりに対して持つネガティブなイメージを変える意味があります。さらにこのパフォーマンスは実際の仏教修行と同様に、困窮下にある他者の存在を自らの体に憑依させるように経験し、他者の痛みを想像する装置としての意味もあります。次に I'm Here プロジェクトという活動を紹介します。このプロジェクトは私が中心となって運営している企画です。日本をはじめとする多くの国で深刻な社会問題となっている孤立の在り方、引きこもりやそれにまつわる問題について新たな当事者発信、困窮した本人が自らの事情を表現していくことの形を模索し、当事者への尊重と社会への周知や問いを提示する企画です。2018年夏から3ヶ月間、主にインターネットを通じて引きこもり当事者自らで撮影した部屋の写真を募集しました。結果、約40名から合計約160枚が寄せられました。これらは本来見ることができない、閉ざされた部屋の貴重な写真です。これをデザイナーやカメラマンの協力を得て編集作業を行い、写真集を出版しました。私自身、深刻な引きこもりを経験した元当事者です。自分の経験を極力開示し、この募集を進めました。私の場合の引きこもりは一生の覚悟で続けていたものの、突如その時間を終えることとなり、そして部屋を出たその日に自身のポートレートや部屋の様子を撮影し、記録して残していました。引きこもってしまった長い時間が無駄なものだったとするならば、それを引き受けて再出発することもとてもまた辛いことです。けれど今ここにいる自分や部屋のありようを撮影することで、経てしまった長い時間を写真作品にとっての必要な役作りや、制作期間だったということに変換できるのではないだろうかという考えを引きこもりをやめる日にひらめいたのです。 そうやって認識を切り替えて、後に美術家として社会復帰を果たしました。その時の写真は写真集にも掲載しています。人生における心の傷や困窮の時間もまた、クリエイティブな価値にすることはきっと可能なのだと思います。プロジェクト名は私はここにいるという不在者の声です。見えない痛みや聞こえない主張をないことにはさせられません。I'm Here プロジェクトの主な募集概要。引きこもり元当事者の現代美術家によるアートプロジェクトである。引きこもり当事者自身で撮影したヘア写真を募集する。当事者本人以外からの投稿は受け付けない。写真を用いて写真集を出版し、展覧会も行う。写真は誰のものかわからないように匿名性を守る。協力いただいた方々には撮影費、謝礼を3000円支払う。撮影はスマホでよい。カメラがない場合、使い捨てカメラを置く。引きこもりの部屋は一般的には単なるゴミ屋敷のように認識される場合が多いですが、実際にはそれは一部でしかありません。さまざまな部屋のタイプがあることを通じて、引きこもった、原因が人の数ほどあること、また誰もがそれになり得ることを知らされるわけです。その上で写真を個別に見ていった場合、いくつかの散らかった部屋からは諦めやうつ状態、セルフネグレクト的な精神状態が見て取れます。また片付けられない様子から生きづらさとしての発達障害の事情も垣間見えます。特異な場合ではペットボトルに排泄をしている、酒の空き缶が山積みになっている状況などもあります。簡素できれいな部屋の場合、例としてあるものは封建的な家庭に育ち、親や社会からの抑圧を受け、自罰的なメンタリティを持ち、司法試験の勉強をしながら数年間引きこもり続け、潔癖症のように部屋を片付けていました。また勉学への興味が強く、知性が高い者もいます。読書家であったり、中には宗教や哲学、語学、数学などに興味を持つ引きこもりもいます。またいくつか見られたケースとしては、経済的に豊かでなかったり、消費活動が限定的である場合、部屋の中にある家財道具や雑貨が古いものが多く、部屋がまるでタイムカプセルのようになっている場合もあります。どれも未来を感じさせる部屋ではなく、過去を感じさせる部屋と言えます。引きこもった年月が長い場合、その部屋の長さはその時間の長さは部屋の雰囲気にも現れます。またこれらの部屋は社会における不在を表す空間とも言えます。部屋は個性や精神状態を表す部分も当然ありますが、可視化された部屋の写真群によって引きこもりとは多様な在り方であり、多少の傾向の近似は見て取れたとしても、一概にくくることはできないのだと分かってきます。写真集出版に合わせて開催した記念展覧会では、写真を投稿してくれた引きこもり当事者が多数会場に訪れてくれました。想定外のことでした。またこのプロジェクトはマスメディアからの注目度が非常に高く、テレビや新聞などを通じて知った普段アートに触れる機会が少ない人たちも多く会場に来場しました。その中には引きこもりを子に持つ親も多くいました。展覧会場の設営では壁を壊してひび割れを作り、内部を覗き込むように写真を鑑賞する仕組みを作りました。これは鑑賞者自身の眼差しに内在された暴力性に気づき、自己批判を誘発させる意味を持ちます。 日本国内では昨今、ようやく国がその人数調査に乗り出し、今年の4月に、推計で100万人以上、引きこもりがいることが分かりました。このことは大きな話題となり、連日ニュースで取り扱われています。これまでは若者問題として理解されてきた引きこもり問題は、解決策が見つからないまま高齢化を進めていき、いつの間にか中高齢層の問題となっていきました。さらにその場合、80代の親が50代の引きこもりを支える事情など、親の死後のことを含めたさまざまに深刻な問題が発生することが予想され、状況は深刻化していっています。私は現代美術家として引きこもりの当事社会、物理的に集う場に行き、対話やリサーチを続けてきました。また、昨年、隔月で引きこもりが全国から100名ほど集う会の当事者会の実行委員にもなりました。そこで語られる問題の一つは、日本の社会やマスメディアが引きこもりの人たちを怠け者としてバッシングしてきた歴史が長くあることです。見方を変えればそれは間違いだと気づいてきます。そもそも彼らは社会の中で何らかに傷ついたり生きづらさを感じて、自閉していったからです。そして規範を強要し、画一的価値を当然とすること、個人の尊重や特性を抑圧すること、またそれによる排除など、それらの面を持つ暴力的な社会から身を守るために防御しているようにも見ることができます。日本では引きこもりの問題が語られるときに、引きこもり当事者をどのように構成させるかという話題が出がちですが、むしろ我々社会が暴力的な環境を作り出して、我々のうちの誰かの心を傷つけて、排除してきてしまったことに気づかなければならないと思います。正さなくてはならないのは引きこもり当事者の態度ではなくて、社会にあふれるさまざまな暴力性だと言えます。以上です。ありがとうございます。
Thank you so much for that, and do keep track of any questions that you have, because we're going to have time for a bit of a Q&A afterwards. So now we can move on to our next speaker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tadaaki Furuhashi. Thank you very much for giving me to a very nice opportunity to give this lecture today. Thank you very much. My name is Tadaaki Furuhashi. I'm a specialist of Hikikomori. It is a form of social withdrawal. Japan-France joint research team was therefore set up in 2008, consisting of psychiatrists, educators, medical anthropologists, social anthropologists, sociologists, philosophers, and so on. It was in 2008. After that, I gave lectures in the Department of Psychiatry, Faculty of Medicine of Strasbourg University in Alsace, in France. After that, in Luxembourg. After that, in Lyon, in France. Last year, I went to Rabat in Morocco to give a lecture for Hikikomori in Glasgow. Strasbourg. In 2017, I'm also became a sector medical observer in the Department of Psychiatry, Faculty of Medicine of Strasbourg University, and conduct visiting observation in Alsace for those who have been withdrawn for a long period, but do not desire medical treatment themselves, including some Hikikomori juveniles. This year, I gave lectures in the Department of Psychology, University of Groningen in Netherlands, and Gothenburg in Sweden. I'm here in London to give a lecture on Hikikomori. I'm very, very happy to. This presentation we would like to consider from this achievement of Hikikomori, a social withdrawal, in Japan and in Europe, especially in France. The definition of Hikikomori in the Japan Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare is as follows. A phenomenon in which persons become recluses in their own forms, avoiding various social situations, e.g., attending school, working, having social interactions outside of the form, etc. For at least 6 months, they may go out without any social contact with others. In principle, Hikikomori is considered as a non-psychotic condition. It is very important. Distinguished from social withdrawal due to positive or negative symptoms of schizophrenia. However, there is a possibility of underlying prodromal schizophrenia. Juveniles who are in a state of hikikomori are gradually becoming acknowledged in Japan since the late 80s. It is said that there are currently 800 to 1,400,000 people in Japan. Hikikomori has already been discussed from various perspectives, such as personality and pathology. For example, because on the psychoanalytic consideration of hikikomori and their consideration, there is an argument that presents 3 types of withdrawal: the narcissistic type, the schizoid type, and the avoidant type. Furthermore, there is also the concept of SUA, primary hikikomori, which does not apply to conventional psychiatric diagnosis classification. SUA says that although those who primary hikikomori have a tendency of personality such as schizoid, avoidance, or narcissism, they do not show fixed personality pathologies that can be judged as a personality disorder. They also say that other symptoms and problematic behaviors resulting from personality biases apart from hikikomori were not observed. There are also studies that discuss hikikomori in relation to social phobia by Nakamura and Kitanishi. In these papers, it is pointed out that there exists a group of patients who end up becoming hikikomori as a result of social phobia. In addition, there are researches about the in association to escaping type depression. Research is involving a detailed discussion about a therapeutic perspective, which is argued in the relationship with compulsive personality and psychoanalytic thinking that considers that hikikomori avoid contact with the real world and withdraw from interpersonal relationship to protect that their narcissistic and omnipotent internal world. There is a problem in Japan called the 8050 problem. Today, in Japan, prolongation and aging of withdrawals have become an extremely serious problem. In the survey of KHJ, National Federation of Family with Hikikomori of 2017, the average age of hikikomori was 34.4 years old, which is as much as 4 years older compared to the result of survey conducted more than 10 years ago. It is a problem. It is a problem from about 2018 where patients in their 80s support the living of their children in their 50s. Social withdrawal was seen as a problem of youth in the 1980s to the 1990s when the term of hikikomori appeared in the Japanese university. Japanese society. However, about 30 years have passed since then. Now, with the withdrawal who are young at the time have aged to their 40s or 50s, and their parents are in the 70s or 80s now. Thus, the problem of prolongation and aging has emerged. Such serious cases where the parent and the child become socially isolated and become unable to make a living are becoming prominent. Furthermore, the Cabinet Office announced in 2019, last year, this year, that there is an estimate of 613,000 hikikomori aged between 40 and 64 who have been shut in at home for months or for more than 6 months. It was reported that more than 70% of hikikomori were men, and half of hikikomori were withdrawn for more than 7 years. Recently, reports are starting to appear that hikikomori are appearing not only in developed countries in Asia, such as Japan and South Korea, but also in Europe, such as Italy, Spain, Ukraine, and France. It is my research. France is my research. In 1999, the concept of NEET, which is a term referring to young people aged 16 to 24 years who are not in education, employment, or training, appeared in the United Kingdom. It is reported in 2018 that there are 808,000 NEET in England. United Kingdom. It was estimated that there are 815 needs nationwide in Japan in 22. There was an argument that the social situations called the employment ice age, which had continued from 1994, was reflected in this. The needs have a tenuous connection with the society, and it is said that there are also hikikomori among the needs. In the Sankei Shimbun newspaper of 2004, an article with the title, "Needs Young Do Not Work," that they are parasitic to parents with no desire to work was formed. In this article, 4 types of needs were introduced. The hikikomori type with the type was listed in parallel with the delinquent juvenile type and the transfixed type and the misstep type. In this way, the concept of need was introduced to Japan from United Kingdom in a form and that includes hikikomori. NEET is originally a concept which was brought about from United Kingdom to Japan that shows the objective status of young people. However, it gained a negative nuance thereafter in Japan, and it has a discriminatory nuance now. It has presumed that the number of hikikomori was fewer than the number of needs until about 2010. Therefore, as for the relation between the hikikomori and needs, it was considered that needs subsumed hikikomoris. However, it is currently estimated that there are more hikikomori than needs. That it was not considered that needs subsume hikikomoris anymore. Furthermore, a term otaku made an appearance in Japan in the 1970s. Originally, it is a term that derived from the fanatic, for example, the cartoon, animation, games, models, railway, and material arts called a second person to approve each other. That is otaku, which is one of the term meaning you in Japan, meaning you. It is otaku. However, it was a term that had a negative nuance when used generally. From the 2000, it began to possess a positive nuance and came to be known generally. From 2010, because of the popularization nuance and came to be known because of the popularization of smartphones, browser games, and social games using beautiful young girl characters have come to hold the main position among the otaku. Although I don't know to what extent the concept of otaku has penetrated in United Kingdom, I have an impression that it was penetrated to a certain extent in France. It seems that, especially in young people in Japan, in France, who are in withdrawn state, know that this concept of otaku well. In France, there is a term close to the Japanese otaku called no life. No Life was a French television network which started in 2007 and ended in 2018. No Life handled Japanese subcultures and main cultures such as Japan pop music, TV games, Japan culture and technology under the catch copy. Life is not just the actual life. The people who are immersed in these cultures have come to be called No Life after the name of this TV network. Also, the concept of no life seems to not have permitted in United Kingdom, even though it is an English term, it seems to have penetrated to a certain degree in France. As internet became popular, people who spend their time on computers and internet technologies who have deep knowledge came to be called geeks. Although originally geek was a term with a negative nuance. It became a term that has a position nuance as we entered in the 21st century. Therefore, there are young people also among the French hikikomori who think themselves as geeks and are satisfied spending all the days in front of their computers screen without going out into the society. The concept of geek seems to have permitted in England, in United Kingdom also. There is another concept called nerd. There is a slightly negative concept compared to geek, who admit oneself to be a specialist. Nerd indicates a person who lives having internet in specific hobbies, while keeping a distance from the society. It seems that the concept of nerd has not penetrated as much as the concept of geek in France, since many of the people in a withdrawn state in France consider themselves as a geek, not a nerd. It can be said that geek is a more positive concept than nerd. Now I would like to explain about Hikikomori in France. A syndrome called the Tanguy syndrome appeared in 1927. The syndrome is named after Tanguy, the main character of the movie Tanguy, which became a blockbuster hit in France in 2001. After that, then the concept of Diogenes syndrome appeared in France from around 2008. When I gave a lecture in France, opportunities increased for me to ask from the audience, psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, whether Hikikomori was so-called Diogenes syndrome was or not from around 2010. Diogenes syndrome is a phenomenon named by geriatricians, including Clark and McLeod, in 1975. In Japan, it is called gomiyashiki in Japan. However, interestingly, almost half of them do not have any clear mental disorders. It is very important. From 2013 in France, Bartleby syndrome is a concept widespread among the French anthropologists and psychologists. In Melville's novel, there is a story where a young man, Bartleby, who was employed in a law firm, keeps on staying in the office even after he refuses in a gentle tone all the tasks required of him. The paradox of Hikikomori can be read from Bartleby's characteristic tone saying, "I would prefer not to." It is very curious, this expression. The Japanese-French Hikikomori joint research team has held in a symposium at the Institut National de Langue des Civilisations Orientales in Paris in 2017. The achievement has been published as books. What will be seen in Hikikomori? The globalizing world and isolating individuals. I stated in the symposium that as for juvenile hikikomori in France, there seems to be a background where the juveniles lose social connections while living the spirit of the times where personal failure to autonomy is compared into social pain. There is articles on the activities of Furuhashi, it's me, in France, which appeared in the French newspapers. The definition of social withdrawal, which the Japanese-French Hikikomori joint research team prepared as follows. The following states are seen in patients from 14 to 25 years old. Okay. Okay. It's very important that that number of patients I have. I met at the Sector Medical Care of Department of Psychiatry of Strasbourg University from 2017 to now. The sector medical care is for patients who do not come to hospitals on their own. Among the 95 patients, there are 10 patients who fulfilled the definition of hikikomori. I have obtained some questions from my clinical practice in France. There is no time, so please see the summary of my questions. or about clinical practice in France. There is no time. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We will have time for a few more questions at the end, and I'll just quickly hand over to Professor Hamish McLeod.
Right, thank you, and thank you for the invitation to speak, and it's an honour to contribute in what's one of my favourite things, which is to share wisdom and experience and knowledge cross-culturally in terms of the understanding of mental health difficulties and the ways in which we can make a difference, hopefully, in helping people recover. And thank you to everyone for coming out tonight. I've made a few assumptions that there's an interest in social withdrawal and what to do about it. So I'm going to focus on the psychology of extreme social withdrawal, which will include Hikikomori, but not be limited to that. And as I think all of you will probably know, mental health care is already well recognised as one of the spheres of health which doesn't have parity with physical health. People who have mental health difficulties often have an unfair distribution of resources. It's difficult to get access to treatment. But even within mental health care, there's a subgroup of people who are not seen, where life has pelted them with difficulties and challenges and they've withdrawn and they look out on the world, but aren't attracting attention because they're not floridly ill. They're perhaps of concern to their parents, but other people are not necessarily seeing the difficulties that they have. And they end up in a position where they live a life that's not quite death, but it's not quite fully living either. And those people, even with relatively well-developed mental health services in high-income countries like the UK and Japan, don't necessarily come to attention of services. And I think that is something that we hopefully will start to change with the conversations and raising the profile of Hikikomori. But before we go into some of the ways in which you might make a change, I just want to flag up a couple of important distinctions and key concepts. So phenomena of Hikikomori and social withdrawal will be tied up with other ideas such as loneliness, social isolation and social exclusion. So for the purposes of our thinking about this, I propose that loneliness is the painful subjective state where there's a perception of social isolation. So the person is aware of the disconnection from others and the lack of adequacy of having their needs met in terms of belonging and purpose in life. Isolation refers more to the inadequate quality and quantity of social relationships, where the person can't form connections to other individuals or the group, and that may occur for all sorts of reasons, such as bereavement in older age, physical infirmity from illness or injury, moving from one community to another, or one city to another. And then finally, social exclusion is a more active scenario where, such as we heard about the negative attitudes and pejorative views of withdrawn youth, there may be a stigmatized response by the in-group where people are rejected and pushed away, and as a result feel excluded. I'll come to social withdrawal in a minute, but in terms of loneliness, we know that actually this is a significant problem. This, for a while, there's been an assumption that perhaps loneliness is something that affects the very old, as your friends die and life moves on, you lose your partner and things. But 2018 data from the Office of National Statistics shows that actually about 10% of 16 to 24-year-olds report experiencing loneliness often or a high frequency proportion of time. This study was on a German sample of 16,000 people, sampled from the population, general population, and it did what a lot of these studies do, which is ask about subjective loneliness, which is the line here. But then importantly, it looked at what happens when you adjust for the things that influence loneliness that might block you from forming social relationships, such as your level of income, whether you're in a relationship, how many people are in your household, and what your current work status is. This dotted line you'll see here shows that when you account for or control those factors, actually loneliness is more of a problem or is a more distributed problem across the lifespan, but may actually be more of a problem for the young, coinciding with many of the people that we've been talking about who have Hikikomori. So loneliness as a phenomenon is starting to be well recognized, but then social withdrawal is something different potentially, where that was just to prove that I can actually control PowerPoint. But social withdrawal, I'm using a definition here that is taken from a current large European study looking at the way that social withdrawal occurs in conditions such as depression, psychosis and dementia. And we start to see here that social withdrawal gets connotations of being about an illness or a disease. So the definition applied by Federfi and others is that it's reduced social interaction associated with the target disease that's then confirmed by the person or a significant other. But as I think we've already heard tonight, it's perhaps more useful to think out of a spectrum of social withdrawal rather than an abrupt cut-off point between being ill and being well. So we may go on the spectrum from mild to severe levels of social withdrawal. The cutoff for Hikikomori is 6 months withdrawal, a period of 6 months. But we know clinically that there are young people who maybe withdraw for a couple of months and then return to school or study and then withdraw again. And it may be something that happens once and is only transient, or it may persist for long periods of time, in some cases decades. And then perhaps most importantly, the function of social withdrawal will vary hugely across individuals. So it's well recognized actually that social withdrawal is sometimes a highly important function, particularly for young people, where solace and self-exploration is a helpful thing to self-regulate mood and develop self-understanding. But there may be other conditions that are associated with social withdrawal that are much more disabling and come to the attention of care services potentially. And this is not just an issue of being a concern about people being not in education or training or getting work. This has impacts on hard outcomes such as risk of death prematurely. So there's been about 30 years of studies now looking at the way that social relationships, how much that affects your likelihood of survival. And you'll see here these bars, the larger the bar suggests the bigger the effect size, or the higher odds or likelihood of survival. These are all social relationship factors, and the odds of survival are compared in this study to things such as smoking, ceasing smoking, drinking alcohol, obesity, getting exercise. So this is over 300,000 people from 140 studies analysed together. And what we see is that social connectedness is actually one of the factors that predicts more variance of outcome in terms of premature death relative to these other things. So I think this is definitely a problem. The question is what may we be able to do about it, and at what level do we try and solve this problem? Is it a societal problem that we need to fix, or is it a problem that rests within the individual? So the first step is perhaps to think about the levels of analysis that we could apply, and there are certainly societal factors that may influence the sense of the person being able to fit in or have a place in society. Interpersonal factors are clearly important in hikikomori, such as the dependency that forms between the parent and the child, and the perhaps supporting of withdrawal to the room for long periods. But there's also a change in our interpersonal relating because of our digital identity. Everyone who's like to put up a happy photo on Facebook when they feel terrible knows that the two things are not necessarily exactly the same. And then within the individual, we can understand these things from a variety of perspectives, right down to biological factors. So the UK government has been attempting to address some of these issues. The Joe Cox Commission was formed to directly address loneliness in memory of Joe Cox and her assassination work to try and reduce loneliness. Royal College of Psychiatry, General Practitioners, has been trying to develop a practice of social prescribing, where people, instead of coming to the GP and only be giving medical care, may also be able to access social care. And the third sector supporting things such as the Red Cross's work on loneliness. There's also a response from the clinical and scientific community. I'm going to talk a little bit about one particular initiative, partly because it's the first study I'm aware of, or set of studies, particularly focused on social withdrawal, funded by EU money across multiple countries, including the UK, and looking at the use of what are called stratified markers. So the psychiatric ratings using intermediate stratified markers. If you wanted to ask me afterwards, I can go into the boring detail about this, but the key thing about this is, instead of focusing on diagnoses, the attempt is to try and understand whether social withdrawal is something that may be a factor that shows up across illnesses. Shows up in depression, in dementia, in schizophrenia. And what the PRISM project is trying to look at is how we may understand social information processing generally. These are the brain networks. There's 5 main networks that are linked to social information processing, 3 of which have a strong link to the emotional system, and then 2 have links more to the ability to think about other people's mental states, connect with others mentally, model in your head what others may be thinking and feeling. And the key thing about this is that although we all may inherit certain capacities in terms of these systems in our brain, they're highly tuned by experience. Early experience in terms of relationships with others, and later experience such as traumatic bullying or other kinds of social harms may all affect the functioning and activation of these different networks. And related to this point is that we're also seeing now that there's perhaps larger crossover in terms of the types of brain systems that are affected by conditions which show high levels of social withdrawal, rather than there needing to be separate explanations for each different condition. So essentially the red, purple and orange dots show where there are data showing that problems in those 3 conditions of schizophrenia, Alzheimer's disease and depression seem to show similar patterns of brain systems that are involved. And the PRISM project may eventually yield physiological interventions and drug-based discoveries, but it highlights in the interim that perhaps we don't need to be thinking about individual treatments for individual diagnoses or problems, but think transdiagnostically about things that are able to be addressed. And for me as a psychologist, this is usually something that we do in any kind of clinical work where you're trying to understand not necessarily just what the person's diagnosis is, but how they came to develop the condition that they're presenting with. And we'd normally look at the things that may predispose the person, the things that then fire the gun. So these experiences and characteristics load the gun, but they usually are fired by some event. And then once the problem develops, they're usually maintained or perpetuated by other factors. So in the case of social withdrawal, we know that some people inherit different temperaments. Some are more inhibited, some are more active. Some kids you wouldn't leave alone for 5 minutes because they'll torture the cat, and others are very relaxed. And those temperamental and early relationship experiences may set up models of social interaction and coping and affect regulation for later life. They'll also affect how the world responds to you. If you're a bit unusual in your style of interaction, people may be less inclusive, less sensitive to your particular style of being, and that may set up factors such as being bullied or victimized, which are common in a range of mental health conditions, including social withdrawal. And then, if we look at the accounts, and Tadaaki has looked at this across Japan and in France, I think Watanabe's starting to see some of this in the interaction with Hikikomori in Japan, is that there's often trigger factors that are about social status and shame and humiliation. And so these things may fire the gun, and then they're maintained, and they'll be maintained. Some of these things will become habits. A lot of people who are withdrawn for long periods of time will get to a position where they no longer feel skilled, and in fact the prospect of going out and doing normal things is far too challenging. There may be physiological changes. Increasingly we're understanding how chronic stress may affect inflammatory pathways in the brain and body, which may affect subjective states and likelihood of not being able to muster capacity for enjoyment and other physiological basic responses. And belief factors, emotional reactions, and social and interpersonal factors will all potentially be maintenance factors. And for, as I've already said, people with Hikikomori and other withdrawal conditions, being invisible means that you won't be detected, you won't get the access to care that you may need. We may not be able to change these things, but we may, but the highlighted options here, in the interim and in the absence of a drug treatment, they may be factors that would be addressed through both the high-level government interventions, but also more individual psychological treatments and the social treatments. And this is something that is taking us in a direction that has been starting to gain some ground in mental health care generally, which is mental well-being is not the absence of disease. Getting rid of your depressive symptoms doesn't necessarily make your life better. And I think quite tellingly, both Japan and the UK have got cultural concepts of recovery and well-being that capture some of this. So in the Japanese conceptualization of Ikigai, where there is a combination of doing things that have meaning, that give you a role in life, that harness your talents and meet needs of the world. You can meet those characteristics, your well-being will increase. And in mental health care, particularly for serious mental illness, we've started to recognize that reducing symptoms is not necessarily associated with better outcome and recovery. Instead, helping people form an identity, take meaning from their experiences, become connected to others, and develop some hope for change are all things that can affect better or produce better outcomes. So for my final slide, I'm just going to think about the future a little bit. And we're hopefully now in the phase of healthcare where increasingly things are person-centered, and that includes personalised and stratified medicine where your genome may influence the drugs that you're given. But importantly, psychologically person-centered care may mean that you have to have different treatment approaches for different causes of social withdrawal. And as long as those treatments help people regain a sense of self, and I think as the art projects for Watanabe-san highlight, finding your tribe and finding a connection to others is one of the ways that may promote and support recovery. And much as I'd love it, I don't think alone neuroscience or public policy are going to save us. I don't think psychology either will save us. But instead, what we need is to try and combine our understanding at multiple levels of the types of personalised treatments that can harness people's needs, strengths and capabilities. And finally, I want to finish with what's often raised as a threat or a concern in talking about hikikomori, which is that it's somehow been created by an internet generation who can sit in the bedroom and look out at the world. And actually, technology has always been with us, different types of technology has always been there. And it's not the enemy necessarily, but it sometimes needs help to become a good friend. And increasingly we're going to see with people who are hard to reach that technology may be the way in, as has been found in terms of making connections over the internet, using those kinds of technologies to make unseen people more recognised and seen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that really gives us a sense of what a nuanced condition this is, and the fact that there isn't really a specific way to just give a blanket treatment to everyone who's suffering from the hikikomori condition. And the reasons why people become hikikomori are also quite difficult to determine. So I was looking at, in my film Rent a Sister, about one solution, which is renting a sister, which a company called New Start came up with. And it sounds quite kooky and perhaps a little bit strange, and I wondered, what does it mean to be a rental sister? But the families of the hikikomori will pay these women to come and spend time with their child who is perhaps at a different stage of withdrawal, and to essentially help them reintegrate back into society. And that can be a very slow process. Sometimes it can take years to build these relationships. Often the hikikomori actively really dislike their rental sisters, don't want to see them, so they have to talk to them through the door or write letters that they push underneath the door, and it can be a very slow process. But interestingly, it is one that over time can also be very successful. They've helped a lot of mostly young men get out of their bedrooms and back into some kind of volunteering work or part-time work through New Start. Then they have a second tier. If people are doing well with their rental sister, they can move into what's called the hikikomori dormitory. So it's kind of a halfway house between your bedroom and getting back into society. And people can be together in a community. They have duties that they have to do, small responsibilities that perhaps aren't too overwhelming, but that can get people involved and help people reconnect as well. So there's a very strict rule that there are no phones allowed, because that can be a big problem if people are sitting in their rooms playing on video games or have created a big online world and online community for themselves. There's a big emphasis of getting out of that and back into person-to-person relationships. So it was very interesting to see how these rental sisters went about it, because none of them have got medical training as such. They aren't psychiatrists, they aren't trained doctors. And speaking to them was also very interesting, because the ones that were most successful at helping a lot of these young men were the ones that said, well, look, we're just trying to give them a space to feel their feelings and to just be themselves. And a lot of the young men would say, well, the reason why I became hikikomori is that I felt society is very tough on the weak. I feel like I can't be accepted as myself. There's no place for me in this society, so I felt the only place where I can have a sense of control over my own life is in my bedroom, and I find it very hurtful and difficult trying to interact with other people. So it was actually very surprisingly effective just having a person who can be there, and they would say, well, look, if I turn up late, or I'm feeling a bit tired, or I've got a stomach ache, I'll just say that, and that's okay, and the world's not going to end, and we can talk about that. And they would get very good responses from that generally, and then they could move slowly into getting out of the bedroom and then moving into more social activities. And it was very interesting to see the development and how people changed just from this very concentrated, very focused human contact. And I initially thought, this is a lot of money for families to be paying for someone who is perhaps somewhere between kind of a nanny and a social coach, and who doesn't have any particular training. But the family said, look, we feel so powerless, and this has been incredibly helpful, even to just have someone as a bit of a proxy to try and pass my message on. So I think another thing that became very clear is that the parents in the situation have a really difficult time with this as well. But what surprised me the most about making this film was when it went out, the kind of outpouring of emails that I received. I got this absolute wave kind of on social media and via email of people saying, this is me, or this is someone that I know, or this is something I've been going through, and there's no support, no one talks about it, this is so difficult. And I thought, gosh, this has actually really touched a nerve. I didn't realize what a widespread phenomenon this was. So hopefully through people like our wonderful speakers today, and art and the internet and general awareness, people will be able to come up with more solutions for this problem, because it is something that is very unseen and is affecting a lot of people. So I hope you'll be able to take a look at the film if you have time.